Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Valley View Farm. It is the week of Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. I am prepping for Thanksgiving by baking some of my cookies that I usually take to our Thanksgiving family meal. And I'm getting them baked up and put in the freezer. They hold really well in the freezer. That way, all of the baking doesn't happen the day of Thanksgiving. So this is my pumpkin cookies that I'm going to make into pumpkin gobs. They are definitely a family favorite. I also made chocolate chip cookies and oatmeal cookies with some buttercream icing on top, and maple cookies. I've never made maple cookies before, but they are delicious. So now I'm just assembling my pumpkin gobs here and getting them put in a container for the freezer. One thing I have learned since being married and having to cook a full Thanksgiving meal, I have learned the more that you can do ahead of time, the better. So here in this clip, I baked a loaf of sourdough bread and I am cutting it up and cubing it. This year, I am making my bread stuffing completely from scratch. So the bread is homemade. The celery we actually grew in our garden this year and I preserved in our cooler. And the onions are actually locally sourced. I did not grow them, but everything else came from us. The chicken broth, because we raised our own chickens, so I had chicken broth. So everything in the bread stuffing is completely made from scratch. So I am very excited to see how that tastes this year and see how my family likes it. But yes, I have learned the more you do ahead of time, the better. So I just want to get all this bread cubed up, and you actually let it sit on your counter for 2 days to get stale. You don't want soft bread because it sucks up the chicken broth too quick. So you want to use stale bread. If you don't have 2 days before Thanksgiving to do this, you can also bake it in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes or so until it gets hardened. Now I am prepping my pies. Pies are also another thing that you can do ahead of time. They hold very well. So I am making 2 pumpkin pies and 2 butterscotch pies. Butterscotch is a family favorite in this area. So I'm very excited. Butterscotch goes well at Thanksgiving time. And I will try to link as many of my recipes as I can down below. Let me know as you're trying these recipes if any of them are your family favorites or if you have something that you always serve on your Thanksgiving table. I'm always looking for new ideas and new traditions to start. So as you all know, I make everything from scratch or as much as I can from scratch. And I am throwing together my pie crust to get it baked up for the butterscotch pies. As we're coming into the Thanksgiving season, I encourage you to every day of the week of Thanksgiving to be thankful for one thing. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be anything small, but just be thankful for something in your life, whether it's your family or your home or maybe a pet that you have, or if you have children, or just having food on the table and heat in your house, however big or small the thing is, be thankful for something and be sure to talk to God about it and really thank Him for the blessings that He has given us. Sometimes we take things for granted. I am just as guilty as the next person. So believe me when I say I'm not trying to throw any guilt on you. I am saying me, myself, I am guilty of taking things for granted. Simply opening my eyes in the morning and being awake for another day. That is something that I take for granted most days, and I really should be better about that. So, one thing that I encourage you to do is just to look around you, sit down, look around you, and really think about what you're thankful for and think about those small things that we take for granted that a lot of people in the world, in different countries, or even in the United States, that they don't have the same luxuries as we do. So I encourage you to look around and be thankful. Now I am getting some Chex Mix started. This is something that I do every year. I usually do it a little closer to Christmas time, but as we all know, hunting season, rifle season is opening up on Saturday. So my husband needs some snacks to take with him in his tree stand. So he loves munching on homemade Chex Mix. If you have ever made homemade Chex Mix, then you know exactly what I'm talking about when I tell you that the smell of baked homemade Chex Mix makes your house smell amazing. It literally makes my mouth water when I bake Chex Mix. I love this time of year for that sole reason. Another thing that you can prep ahead of time is deviled eggs. Deviled eggs are always a staple in our Thanksgiving because we have our own chickens. So we get tons and tons of eggs. So a good way to use those up is actually the butterscotch pie uses 8 eggs. So that's a good way to use up a lot of eggs. But also deviled eggs because I don't know if you've ever eaten deviled eggs, but they slide down very easily. So I could stand there and probably eat that entire plate of deviled eggs. I love deviled eggs. So I'm just making some homemade deviled eggs here and getting them prepped and put in the refrigerator. That way, all I have to do is pull them out and uncover them, and they are ready to go. One little tip I've had, I know some people use a spoon and spoon the mixture into the eggs. I have always used a bag. Usually I use a quart bag, but in this instance I'm using a gallon bag because I'm making so many eggs at one time. But I spoon it all into a bag and cut the corner and then fill it like you would do icing on cupcakes. So it makes it so much easier because it's not messy. They look aesthetically pleasing, like they're not all messy. And it's so much easier for me to just go right down the line and squeeze the filling into them. So now I'm mixing up the seasoning for we're actually having chicken instead of turkey. I had a batch of chickens that got really big on me, so we have been joking around the family that it is a turkey-sized chicken. So we are having chicken because that is what we have readily available to us, and I am mixing up the seasoning here. I'm using lots of different things, rosemary, thyme, seasonal salt, sage, all kinds of things. So I kind of mix up my own. I know I have some lemon pepper in there and regular salt. So I'm just mixing up my seasoning here and going to rub butter all over the chicken and then put all the seasonings all over the chicken. Now I am prepping my potatoes, getting them all cubed up and boiled down for my mashed potatoes. I'm excited this year because in our mashed potatoes, I can use Clarabelle's milk. Last year we did not have Clarabelle, so I'm excited to incorporate Clarabelle in as many dishes as I can around our Thanksgiving table. Also this year, I'm very excited that I have my own green beans that we canned from our garden this year. So I'm able to have green bean casserole that is made from the farm. As I was preparing these dishes the morning of Thanksgiving, my husband and I were talking about how blessed we really are that we were able to source every dish we served at Thanksgiving from our farm. That's one thing that we definitely do take for granted and we try to be thankful for, but sometimes it's hard to remember to be thankful for those small things. So we are definitely thankful and blessed to have the farm and to have had the farm incorporated in our family Thanksgiving. Now I am prepping the onions and celery and getting them cooked down for the bread stuffing. I am so excited to try this bread stuffing. I can hardly wait. Beside the onions and celery, I have the potatoes cooking down. I'm going to get ready to mash them up in my KitchenAid. That is one tip that I have for you for making mashed potatoes. Do not mash them by hand. Use your KitchenAid with the whisk attachment. It makes life so much easier. You dump it all into the bowl and turn on the KitchenAid and walk away and do something else. So that is one thing that I really love about the KitchenAid. And then as you can see, I'm also getting my gravy going beside the mashed potatoes there, getting it cooked down and thickened. Now it's time to add the onions to the green bean casserole. One of my tips is to make your green bean casserole with canned green beans. Put it in the oven, let it just warm, and then add your onions. If you add your onions before you warm it up, the onions get overcooked and they're way too crunchy. So now, as you can see, we have everything set out and we are ready to sit down for our little family Thanksgiving meal. This year we had our chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing, green bean casserole, pumpkin pie, and butterscotch pie. Of course, we are saying our prayer and talking to God and taking this special time to thank Him for all the blessings that He has given us and everything that He is going to give us in the future. One thing that I have learned about Thanksgiving is it is a time to slow down and relax and enjoy time with family, and to take that time to break bread together, as the Bible says, and really just enjoy and have conversation. Those are times that you never get back. Well, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you feel inspired. Please let me know in the comments below some of your favorite Thanksgiving dishes. I often find that Thanksgiving and Christmas side dishes really overlap. So I am really anxious to hear about some of the things that you served for Thanksgiving, and maybe I will try to incorporate those in our Christmas. Thank you for watching. I hope you felt inspired, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, friends.